So, tell me something terrible.
And the more drunk I get, the more tone deaf I get.
The more tone deaf you get, the more drunk you get.
Yep. I fucking heard that too. Scott, the veil is thinning and our house is getting more and more haunted.
It's because you keep putting up witchy things.
Like what? Sage?
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say I haven't even smoked it yet. I haven't even burned it yet.
I haven't even smoked that sage, bro. Oh my gosh. All right. Are we going to do a very natural segue into this?
Yeah.
So, how's your whiskey?
It's so good. I thought it was scotch.
How's your scotch?
Delicious.
Good.
Scotchy scotch. Down into my belly. I love scotch.
With Diet Coke.
Diet Coke, because I can't drink it straight.
Hell no.
Mm-mm.
All right.
So,
are you ready for part 2?
Mm-hmm. You're listening to Tell Me Something Terrible.
What?
Nope,
You're just
fuck
going
that
straight
up.
into that?
I am. Hi, I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Scott.
And you're listening to Tell Me Something Terrible.
Yeah, you are.
Done terribly.
Yeah, you are. And Tiff's been drinking.
Yes.
So this should be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is going to segue because I feel like you were hitting a good spot buzz-wise at the end of the first episode.
Yeah.
And you're already starting the second episode beyond that point.
Good. It's going to segue right in. No one's going to even notice. It's going to be
Except for
flawless.
when you're reading and you're like, I don't know any of the words. Did you make your family tree of everyone we're supposed to remember?
I did that immediately after we stopped recording.
Okay.
Okay.
So I will do the very quick synopsis.
Okay.
Salem Witches.
Yes.
Lots of people.
Lots of people.
A lot of balls. Cottony. We got lawyers and preachers and
We don't
witches.
have much lawyers. We have magistrates, no lawyers.
What's the guy that writes all the shit down called?
A record keeper?
Erect?
An erector keeper.
He's one or the other.
Yeah. There's actually like a court. I don't know what the court recorder's names are.
I don't
There's
know.
a
They
word
have
for
those
that.
little creepy machines
Yeah,
where they just
and
have
they
like
type in
6
shorthand.
buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Is it Braille?
No, there's
How's
a
it
whole
work?
class you have to take for it. Doesn't matter.
Called Tiny Typing.
Tiny Typing by Cotton Mathers.
Yes.
Okay.
Cotton and Charmin. What was his dad's name? Increase. That was close.
Cotton Mathers was a spectral evidence fighter.
Let's start with the top. Is that Cotton Mathers who you starting with?
Nope. So
Okay.
we're going to start with Reverend Paris.
Here's your cast of characters.
Yep, your cast of characters.
Batting first.
Reverend Paris. He's the new minister, 39 years old, failed businessman.
And he has an infatuation with young girls. It's completely normal.
Or power.
Why not both?
And then I'm not going to keep doing them in that voice. So then you have Tituba, who is Paris's slave. She was the first to be accused as a witch. You have Sarah Good and Sarah Osborne, who are also with that batch of people accused as witches.
Sorry, the word batch still belongs to Todd to me. And I hope
Please don't.
I hope
No,
he's
please
no. I hope he's stocking like fucking vanilla wafers, and he hears this, and he just grins to himself like, "I ruined batch for both of them."
And moist. And librarians.
and men wearing sweaters when they're not wearing shirts at all.
And
Good on you.
oh God, the horror stories.
Hey, I'll drink a Diet Mountain Dew in his honor tomorrow. Oh wait, he gave up pop.
He did. So then you have Betty and Abigail. Betty is the daughter of Reverend Paris, and Abigail is the niece of Reverend Paris. Both of them are afflicted by the witches
Devil.
The witches who were converted by the devil.
That's right, in his little black book.
Yep. And then you have the Putnams, who are supporters of Paris and also neighbors to Reverend Paris. So you've got Anne Jr. She's an afflicted child.
The Putnams are the accusers, right?
Yes, they are accusers. Yep. So you have Anne Jr., who's an afflicted child. Mercy, who didn't write her last name down. She's a servant. She's afflicted. She's also an afflicted child. This is all inside of the Putnam's house. Then you have Mary Wilcott, who is a Putnam cousin who lives right next door. All of them are avid supporters of Paris.
And if you are losing track of people like I am, and I'm sitting here, just listen to the first one, or just listen to the second one, and I'm sure people are going to like die off and get murdered and get accused and all that stuff.
Yes.
Soon enough.
And you have Dr. Griggs, who is the one that what's the word? Diagnosed the girls, the previous girls, Betty and Abigail, with bewitchment because they couldn't figure out what their ailment was. And then you have Governor Phipps, who is the newest governor of the Bay Colony, which is where Salem is located.
The Phipps and Griggs. That's where I got tripped up last time.
Yep. And then you have our newest character that we introduced is Reverend Sloppy Joe George Burroughs. He's an accused
Why
witch.
did I call him Sloppy Joe? Oh, he's a man witch.
Yeah, he's a man witch.
It's okay. Yep, it's all coming back to me now.
Yep.
He's got sesame seeds on his buns. Yes. Sorry, that's
And
just
some man witch in the middle.
the man witch picture. Yep. Do you put... I'm on Team Mustard on a Sloppy Joe. Are you... I'm assuming not on Team Mustard on a Sloppy Joe?
Yeah. Or a Sloppy Joe, because I can't have fucking bread. Thank
Okay,
you for rubbing that
You can
in.
have Sloppy Joes and Fritos. We've done
Absolutely not. Have you ever seen me put mustard in my Sloppy Joe on Fritos?
that. Okay, well, if you don't put mustard in a Sloppy Joe, I don't know. You got to try it.
No.
No.
No, not at all.
Okay, whatever.
Just shooting that down right now.
You gluten hater.
Look, it's not a hater. I love bread. My body is like, nah, bitch, you can't.
Nah, beige.
It's awful. Hold on. Pause for a drink. I have to take a very long
I'm glad you
sip.
brought the metal straw back. It's been a couple episodes since I've heard clanking the whole time I edit.
I'm going to lean back.
Sure you are. And she's like, good. I'm going to lean back. Cool. Damage has been
Wait,
done.
do you want to talk about our good news?
Yeah, as soon as I know what our good news is.
All our followers on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, we went over 500. So we're like over 1,000 now. If we ever hit 1,000, I don't know what'll happen. But if you're a new follower and you're listening,
We appreciate the heck out of it.
welcome
To the
tell
internet.
me something. Yeah. No, we appreciate the people
We
liking
do.
the page.
We do.
Interact. Let us know you're there. We don't have much going on. If
Or
you
not.
comment,
At least just look at it.
we are like very ready to comment back. Also,
I'm a big slacker. I don't post that much as I should.
I don't have hardly anything to do with Facebook. I'm about the Twitter. So you can follow us there at TMST Pod, which we're at. Hold on. You want a live count?
Yep.
It's not 500.
No.
It starts with a 1. We have
192.
146 followers.
Not even close.
Hey, that's not bad.
Not bad.
YouTube's still at 9. Someone can be the 10th. The double-digit follower could be one of you.
Yeah, we don't have that much on YouTube.
Yeah, I think like once like January, February hits and our lives slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that will be non-podcast related stuff.
But,
I want
yeah.
to put cooking videos on there because that's all I'm really passionate about outside this podcast
Yeah.
is making food.
And we can tell, like, we'll make it podcast
We can talk
semi-related.
through
Yeah.
it, yes. But I just want to make food and talk. I don't want to have an hour of our faces.
Yeah.
I don't even want to look at that.
Just an ASMR of cooking and terrible
Yeah,
facts
just
that just
sizzling-
make you want to run out into traffic.
Yeah, just sizzling meats and sizzling topics.
That sounds great.
That sounds super cliche.
Yes, it does. I do like
Let's do that.
I do like a good sizzled meat.
Let's just make some tacos and talk meta.
I do like some tacos too,
In your meta?
and my
You
sizzling
can
meat.
give the whatever murder tacos here in Jackson story. You can say that.
Kip's Tacos?
Yeah.
Oh my God, our next YouTube video.
Our next
I'm
YouTube
so
video
excited.
coming out November 14th.
Don't look into Kip
Random
Tacos
date
unless you know.
will be a tacos.
Is it November 14th?
Yeah, I just put
Oh,
the pressure on you.
shit.
She likes when I do that. Just really put her under the gun.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Are you telling all of our secrets now? Just kidding. It's not that bad.
Yeah, what gun are we putting you under? Anyway,
Yours? I hate you.
is that a good laugh?
That was awful.
I'm gonna listen. Hold on. That's at 11 minutes. See if that was a really solid laugh. But no, I think that'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do themed food with murder. Maybe we'll be sober. Maybe we won't.
We're hashing it out with you guys right now.
Yeah.
This is welcome to the brain
The brain trust.
the brain trust.
Normally, after an episode of drinking and a little bit of pre-gaming, that's when all the good ideas come out. But now we're just shooting. Anyway, this
If
is
it
gonna be
doesn't
4
happen,
hours long if
sorry.
we don't stop.
Okay.
So November 14th, tacos while we talk about tacos.
Okay.
Pencil it in.
Also,
We should have saved that for Cinco de Mayo, by the way. Margaritas, tacos, Kip tacos.
ugh, you know
See?
how much I love tequila.
No. You're not. You can make a margarita with vodka, right?
Yep, sure. You
Cool.
can-
Anyway.
Who gives a shit? You can do what you want. This is America.
Yep.
So if you want a recap of exactly like the events that led up to this point, go back, listen to just Rampant Hag. It doesn't actually say part 1 on anywhere on it. It just, episode 60. Go back, listen to it. You get the synopsis of what happens. And now we get into like the really terrible
Should we
stuff.
call this one more rampant hag?
Sure, why not?
What's an acceleration of rampant?
Rampant squared.
Rampart?
Nope, rampant squared. So,
I was going to Google that, but I don't know how I'd Google it. Anyway, keep going.
we've reached up to right before the official trials. So they've talked to people, they've thrown a bunch of people in jail, a bunch of people have been possessed by witches, all different sorts of stuff. So now we're getting to like the actual trials.
Yep.
And hangings.
And tribulations.
Yep. So as the jails began to overflow all over Essex County, this was not just in Salem or Danvers, this is all over.
Mm-hmm.
The court of
Danvers.
So the court of Oyer and Terminer, after being put into place on May 27th, finally started trying these accused witches. So the hearings were a madhouse. People traveled for days to witness the trials. There were no defense lawyers present.
For what?
Well, who needs defense lawyers for witches? So there was spectral evidence was allowed in the court, which we already talked about being an issue.
Sus.
Yeah. So witches' marks were also allowed into evidence, which were any strange markings found on a body, said to be where the witches' familiars sent from the devil would feed from in some weird twisted version of breastfeeding.
So like a third nipple.
Mm-hmm. Or any type of mark, a wart, a skin tag, a mole, literally anything that was like a slight blemish on the body. They were like, you're feeding black cats and grims and human-headed birds on this weird ingrown hair you have on your back of your knee.
Is that why the Mothman's a thing?
No.
Some witch was feeding the Mothman?
Maybe. That's how the Mothman happened.
Yeah, you said human-headed birds. That's the first thing I thought.
It was just some tiny little black moth that landed on somebody's like mole and then it just turned into the Mothman and now it it harasses. Is it like the Pennsylvania-ish area?
Yeah, I don't remember. It's somewhere, East Coast.
East Coast, yeah. Which would make so much sense because this happens on the East Coast.
That's what I'm saying. I'm piecing it all together here.
Oh my God, it goes all the way to the top.
Long live the familiars. Where's our cat at?
He's downstairs living the life of luxury on our bed, just sprawled as big as he can get.
We have like a 20-something pound black cat who's definitely being fed by a witch. I don't know who's feeding him every night.
It's me. I'm the witch.
That explains your birthmarks.
I do have a lot of them.
Right?
So there was a witch mark was found after stripping down and being examined by multiple midwives at the same time.
Okay, do they do it in the middle of court or do they do it offsite?
No, this is usually offsite, and then they have to rely on the words of like they use like a half a dozen or so.
Just take a picture on your phone.
Oh yeah, way back then. Yeah. the daguerreotypes where they like stand really still for like an hour. We're gonna take a picture of this.
They have paintings of their birthmarks hanging in the courtroom.
That totally cannot be altered at all.
No,
paintings are true to life.
Yeah.
So the afflicted girls would scream and convulse, throwing themselves on the floor, legs giving out, forcing whoever was behind them to catch them.
Trustful.
Mm-hmm. Anne Jr. even presented her hands, poked full of holes and bleeding, saying that the witch on the stand was invisibly poking her with these invisible needles. So this is happening during the trials.
Okay.
And all of this chaos and acting out from the afflicted in the middle of the courtroom was allowed as further evidence.
Oh, okay. So just be ridiculous and you'll get these witches hung.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
submitted right there in court. So this was the theme throughout the trials over and over again. If you didn't confess on the stand and give names of other witches, you were sentenced to hang from the gallows, constructed on what is now known as Proctor's Ledge. So I was watching a video from
Procter & Gamble.
Procter & Gamble's Ledge. It was actually the BuzzFeed Unsolved people, which I've been recommended to multiple times to listen to, like watch, and I just haven't yet. So they were trying to like stir up spirits. And this is literally like Proctor's Ledge. Mm-hmm. It's like a suburban, like they were in someone's backyard and there's like picket fences and like houses and just trees on like a line, like on a cliff. It's just in the middle of fucking nowhere. Could you imagine like finding out later that you're someone?
You're like, oh, I bought a house on this historically famous, terrible place.
Yeah. And there's probably bodies within like a stone's throw from my backyard.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Just embrace it.
So,
it'd be really easy to decorate for Halloween.
You'd stir up a lot of spirits just putting like
Yeah, just put
trees.
fake witches out there, just like 1 foot off the ledge.
And then become possessed and don't know how it happens.
Yeah, no big deal. Just a Mothman floating around your backyard.
So first to be found guilty of witchcraft and hanged was a woman named Bridget Bishop.
Bishop Briggs?
Yep.
Great artist.
She really is.
Right?
Yeah.
Look up River by Bishop Briggs right now.
It's a good one. So Bridget Bishop Briggs was elderly, argumentative, poor, a widow, and had previously been accused of witchcraft 10 years prior, but was not found guilty on the basis of not enough evidence. So this time, though, spectral evidence was allowed, and 10 people testified against her. She was found guilty.
This cranky old broad, they're like, hang her. I don't even care if she's a witch.
Yep, pretty much. Hold on. Pause for the cause.
Metal straw cause, she means. So every one of was all 180 or whatever all hung at the same spot?
There wasn't that many hung.
Oh, okay.
There was that many accused.
Okay. Proceed with your story. I was just going to say.
But all the rest of them, yes, were hung at the same spot.
Okay.
The ones that got sentenced to death, yeah.
Is that on your TMST Travels the World or Travels America?
Yeah, we
list?
should totally make yeah, for sure. Salem has been on my list since I was like
I think it'd be
10
more
years
fun,
old.
though, if you went like Proctor's Ledge, not like Salem. Just
no,
like
all of it's
specific.
right there. All of it is within like a 20-mile radius. You can go to all of it.
Yeah, but if what for the TMST Travels America crazy shit to go see, the London Bridge in Arizona, Paris, Michigan.
Yes, Paris, Michigan.
And now Proctor's Ledge, Pennsylvania.
Yep. So Proctor's Ledge is in Danvers. And there's also like memorials that you can go to. Like there's the Rebecca Nurse's memorial. There's another place you can go to where there's benches. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's like places you can go to, and you can actually go to like the Corwin's house, like Jonathan Corwin, who's one of the magistrates. You can go to his house. You can go to different foundations of like I think the Putnam's house and somebody else's house. So like there are actual places that you can go and visit, and
I'm sure they've made it touristy.
Oh, 100%. No, not too touristy. Just like kind of like when you go to Gettysburg, where there's like the foundations,
markers.
Yep, and markers and stuff. I think they do ghost tours. Either way, on my bucket list, 100%. Someone when I went to high school went there, and like this past fall, and I
thought they did a Hocus Pocus one though.
Yeah, Hocus Pocus is based off of.
Okay, but I didn't realize that they shot Hocus Pocus in Salem.
Yes, they did. It's all there. You can go to the Hocus Pocus house. Like you can do all of it because Hocus Pocus, like the backstories, the Sanders was part of that whole spiel.
All right, back on track. Back on track.
Anyway,
I could see the look in your eyes. Like I could talk about this the rest of the podcast.
Ever.
And this became a 3-part episode. We'll see you guys next Tuesday. Just kidding.
So, spectral evidence was allowed, and then 10 people testified against her. So, Bridget Bishop Briggs was found guilty, along with like 5 or 7 other accused witches.
6.
Yeah, like in that same trial. So they tried multiple people at one go. So this hearing took place on June 2nd, and all of them were sent to the gallows on June 10th.
Okay.
And these makeshift gallows were nothing like the ones that I told you about before in the executions episode, with like proper inspections, being tested with weights and tied, like there was like a big knot that was tied behind their necks on the left side to theoretically snap your neck at the end of a short drop.
Yeah.
They were strung up, the accused were strung up and forced to stand on a ladder and pushed and left to hang as they slowly suffocated to death.
Oh, that's
the good old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
So in total, there were 4 days of executions throughout the summer and fall. There were 3 more days of executions. There was July 19th, August 19th, and September 22nd. So after Bridget's hanging...
What were they doing September 19th? We had a thing going.
Oh, the 19th?
Is it a holiday?
I don't know.
What the hell, guys?
You're going to have to look it up.
July 19th, August 19th, September 22nd.
Yeah, fucked it all up. Well, there was June 10th, too. It's, halfway through the month. Yeah. So after Bridget's hanging, after witnessing her slowly suffocate to death under her own weight, objections to the trial started to ramp up as well. So one of the magistrates wound up resigning. John Proctor spoke out more heavily. Increase Balls wrote to Governor Phipps pleading that all of this chaos needed to be stopped.
He increased the matter.
One of the afflicted, Mary Warren, had an abrupt change in her story, so she recanted all of her accusations. This was when the afflicted girls turned on poor Mary. So now Mary and the family that she worked for was accused
they all start barking at
of
her.
Witches. No. Yeah, they just they kind of shunned her, and then they accused the entire family that she was working for
as being witches.
Would you like to guess which family that is?
The Putnams.
Oh, no.
No.
The Proctors.
Okay.
The ones who've been objecting the whole time.
Good.
Who I said's entire family dies out.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Because usually if one person was accused, they were like, nah, y'all are witches.
Yeah.
Yep. So Mary was suddenly rendered mute for about 3 to 4 days, and then decided that, yes, everyone she was accusing was definitely witches. So she just had a moment of weakness.
Yeah. It's called a conscious lady.
Exactly.
It's called guilt.
Yeah. After watching someone suffocate to death for like a half an hour.
80-year-old lady just, strangle herself by her probably 65-pound frame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should feel shitty. You're like, oh, maybe all these people aren't witches. Oh, wait. Yeah.
Maybe I might hang if I take back what I said.
Then all the muggle ladies, the Karens, got back together and like, no. Stick to the story.
Yeah.
Don't you want to be one of us?
One of us. So now more prominent members of Salem's little community were being accused of witchcraft, whereas before it was only the poors and the degenerates. So there's a lot of widows, outspoken women, a lot of like poor beggars. They were like, cool, we're getting rid of the scourge of our society. And then all of a sudden, no one was safe. Even confessing to witchcraft and giving a list of other names no longer guaranteed your life. So Martha Nurse, it wasn't Rebecca Nurse, sorry, the memorial, it was Martha Nurse. She was a neighbor to the Putnams and an active member in the church whose husband just so happened to have ran a successful campaign for a seat on the village committee, and both of whom were loud opposers of Reverend Samuel Parris.
I feel like we keep coming back to that.
Yeah. So the Proctors and Reverend Burroughs, along with Martha Nurse, they were all in the same trial. So Reverend Burroughs, he was accused and he was brought back from Maine to face a trial, which is where there was a lot of Native American raids and a war going on. Mm-hmm. Reverend Burroughs was a snarky man who faced questioning with open defiance and sarcasm. Like
one of those.
Yes. They were, I can't remember the quote that they used in the video that I watched, but it was amazing because they were like, have you ever consorted with the devil? And he was like, and what if I did? And of course they're all scandalized because technically he's a reverend, but in order to be like officially ordained, you had to have a certain number of people in your flock for a certain amount of years in order to be officially ordained.
You got to pump those cult numbers up. Those are rookie numbers.
Pretty much. Yes. And so instead of developing like the bare minimum that he needed for the bare number of years, he never did that. And he would just wander about preaching the word to like everybody. That's why he was up in Maine. And they were like, oh, this guy's a rogue reverend. We can't trust him. Yeah. So I lost my spot on my little spiel. Okay.
If only you had a pen to my
I know. So the magistrates were not very happy about Reverend Burroughs' sarcastic, defiant stance.
Yep.
Anne Jr. also testified against Burroughs, saying that he would show up as an invisible specter and confessed to her that he was the father of the witches and that he had killed his first 2 wives and that his current wife and daughter were bewitched soldiers fighting with the natives on the frontier in Maine.
Huh. That's an elaborate story.
And racist.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Because I'll give you one guess what color Tituba's skin was. Not white.
Golden.
Yeah. She looked an awful a lot like a Native American.
Yeah.
So
she was from like Jamaica-ish, right?
Barbados.
Okay.
Yeah. She just wasn't white, essentially.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of themes in this kind of culminating to the actual trials. Yeah. So, Reverend Burroughs was thrown in jail, and he was tried and found guilty of being in cahoots with the devil and also being the ringleader of the Salem witches. So the proctors, several other men.
I feel like this is going to come back to the other reverend in town.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily, but I thought I've dropped enough hints.
Yeah, that it may be. Mm-hmm. Okay.
They don't really know why yet, but like I have a sneaking suspicion that it might all trace back to Reverend Paris.
Yeah.
Allegedly. Not like it matters. It was almost 350 years ago. You guys can fuck off, and I hope Reverend Paris is burning in hell because he seems like a prick.
Yeah, he seems questionable at best.
Yes. Well, because he's a failed businessman, right? And he became a minister. And then the whole thing that started this was that people obviously were upset about a church for their village. They're like, we can just go to a different church. And they didn't want to have to pay the giant hike in taxes to pay for the reverend's salary, which was over the top. And because people were unwilling to pay for the salary, he would literally berate people in his sermons on Sunday about him essentially not getting paid what he thinks he should get paid, even though he's a failed businessman who decided to become
works for a quote-unquote nonprofit.
Sorry, you're an asshole and fucked up your whole life. Maybe don't be a prick.
Yeah.
And I'll just leave it at that. You can tell I've had more to drink. So the proctors, several men and one woman named Martha Currier, who was accused by none other than Anne Jr. Putnam. But to be fair, Martha Currier, not to be fair, she dies. Martha Currier was also previously been suspected of being the one who brought smallpox to Salem. So people were kind of mad at her family because they're like,
why?
You killed off a bunch of us.
Literally a disease.
Yes. And then also along with Reverend Burroughs, they were all hanged on August 19th. So after being...
For the record, I like the term hung better than hanged. I know hang's proper.
Hanged is grammatically correct.
Yes.
Google corrected me 1,000 times.
I still like hung better.
Me too. So Reverend Burroughs was hung.
I heard he was hanged.
So before being...
Because now when you say Reverend Burroughs was hung, I'm like, oh, good for him. Sorry. Two different terms.
I'm going to put a little bit of a positive spin on this.
Yeah.
So before being unceremoniously shoved off the ladder, Reverend Burroughs stood and recited the entirety of the Lord's Prayer, which, without making a single mistake, which at the time was something that witches were not supposed to be able to do.
Oh, then why didn't they all just do that? Oh, because they were witches. That's right.
I don't. Logic. There is none.
Yeah. Our Father who does art in heaven.
I don't think that's right.
Yeah, no, there's paintings all over the place.
He does art.
Yeah, that's where Michelangelo got
He's
those.
a big fan of watercolor.
Yeah. Oh, like sunsets.
Oh, yes. Above lakes and happy little trees.
Yeah.
There are no mistakes, just happy accidents.
Yeah.
Like Bob Ross.
And ADHD.
Whoa. So anyway, he recited the Lord's Prayer and the crowd started to protest the hanging. Didn't really matter. They shoved him off the ladder and he was hanged anyway.
Take the ladder with you. Just grab on.
Yeah,
hit people with that ladder. Yes.
Take them all out.
Yeah, use it like stilts and become the tallest scary man. Yeah.
Yep, just reciting the Lord's Prayer the whole time.
Yeah, while you're stomping on these muggles.
Yes. So
I am the Manwich. Sorry.
So Martha Corey,
it's like the Kool-Aid Man, but way scarier. There's just like sloppy Joe meat falling all over the place.
He's reciting like, "My Father in heaven," like just talking about the valley of the shadow of death. Yes. He's stabbing people. With
and burger meats everywhere and tomato sauce. His sesame seeds are flying off in every direction.
His cross swings upside down and his eyes start glowing.
There's a bunch of potato chips behind him like cronies. Sorry. All right.
There's a peek into our minds.
So about this week's graphic you're going to make. Good luck.
I'm going to draw that one out.
Revenge of the Manwich. That one might... This episode
The hung Reverend Burroughs.
The hung Manwich. Just him there with his buns open.
All the way down to his knees.
Our Father. I'm sorry. That's terrible.
Pointing out like a ping pong ball across the lyrics.
Oh my God. All right. My face hurts. Can you keep reading?
That was a good visual for you guys. So Martha Corey, who was another prominent member of the church, was also accused. Even Martha's own husband was accusing her of witchcraft until she was officially found guilty. So he too started to dissent. So he was brought in as a witch as well, but Giles Corey, her husband, that's his name, refused to participate in the shenanigans. He refused to enter a plea one way or another, whether he was innocent or a witch or to name anybody.
Okay.
So, for his act of bravery, he was rewarded torture. So, acting in accordance...
Seems reasonable.
Yes. So, acting in accordance with English law called... it's Latin. Pien forte et dior?
Okay.
Why not? Which allowed for... is essentially like... it translates to strong and harsh punishment. So the townspeople stripped Giles naked, laid him on the ground, placed a board on his chest, and slowly added progressively heavier and heavier rocks onto that board on his chest, attempting to force a plea. So for 3 days he refused, until finally asked if he was ready to submit a plea, and he simply responded, "More weight." And in a melodramatic fashion, another rock was added, and Giles Corey died by pressing, never conceding to the mass hysteria gripping Salem. So he died.
So he just like deflated in front of them.
They
like
literally
crushed
like
his
crushed
body
him.
cavity.
Yes,
Yeah.
after 3 days of laying naked in the like East Coast in New England in like mid-September. And they were like in the middle of what's considered like the Little Ice Age, because it's a contributing factor that like everything was cold and everybody was starving, which might have added to the issue. So he never conceded. He was defiant to the end. Fortunately, he died on September 19th, 1692, before having to watch his wife hang. And then Martha...
That's what they were doing on September 19th. See, we figured it out.
They're busy, yep, 19.
They're busy playing man Jenga.
Yeah. Watch out for the 19th, guys.
Oh, no, I guess that's more like Kerplunk.
Oh, no. A man Kerplunk? No.
Okay, sorry. See, remember last episode when I was like, I should keep some of these jokes back?
No, go for it. Let her rip. So Martha Corey and several others were then in turn hanged on September 22nd. Finally,
Wait, his last name was Corey?
Corey.
Oh, Corey. Okay. I thought it was Quarry. And I was like...
A little heavy-handed with the rocks there, huh?
I was like, wait, which came first? Was he named Corey, or is that why we call them quarries? Okay.
So, finally, after a surge of pushback, and once Governor Phipps's own wife was hastily accused of being a witch, Phipps decided to step in, putting an end to the Oyer and terminal. They died. Yeah. So he put an end to the Oyer and Terminator style circus on October 29th, 1692. Magistrate Stoughton flipped shit because he truly believed that spectral evidence was valid and that everything that he was doing was right.
Yeah. Of course he did.
Yeah, because honestly, like if you were to be like, "Oh, you're right, I did fuck up," you would just run into the abyss, lighting yourself on fire and just screaming because you're a horrible trash human. I digress. So they, Governor Phipps implemented a new court system called the Superior Court of Judicature. So these trials were not allowed to have spectral evidence submitted as actual evidence. Not because they don't believe it's true, but because it's unprovable whether or not it's the actual witch or the devil masquerading as an innocent person.
Or witch.
Yeah, or which did it.
Yep. Which witch is on first? Sorry.
So an actual physical... I like how you apologize for that one, but not the horrible,
No, I'll apologize for a bad joke that's in terms of it sucks, not as in a bad joke as in it's cringeworthy.
And horrible.
Yes.
So only actual physical evidence, such as a confession or possessing a poppet, which is a small human figurine, kind of like a voodoo.
Is that thing our kids play with now?
Poppets?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, no.
Those
Our
are the
child's
witch.
a witch. Burn her.
Her friend's like the witchiest person we know. She owns all the poppets.
She does. Or having a witch's tea, or having at least 2 witnesses who had seen the accused use black magic.
Okay.
So those are your like...
What about blue magic?
Or purple magic.
Yes, all the rainbow magics.
Just black magic. So the remaining 150 plus people crowding the jails across Essex County were tried. Only 2 to 3 were actually found guilty. Those that were
2 to 3,
because they actually had the evidence that like the puppets and stuff.
2 or 3.
Because I heard it knew between 1 to 3. Like they're like a couple of them, maybe 3, upwards of 3 plus. So like 2 or 3 ish.
Okay,
not that many.
Aprox.
A very small amount were actually found guilty. So those that were found guilty wound up being pardoned by Governor Phipps. So the Salem Witch Trials were officially over in May 1693, and in the end, 19 people were hanged, 14 of them were women, and 5 were men. 1 was pressed to death, Giles Quarry, and then 5 people died in jail, and since your entire family could be accused and thrown in jail with you, one of those deaths was Sarah Good's 4-year-old daughter, Dorcas.
Dorcas. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to touch that. She was a child who died, but that's a terrible name.
It is a really bad name. Yeah. It's probably, like, it is awful. It might have also been, like, a blessing in disguise because of the name.
What do you go by, Dorky for short?
No, none of it's good.
No,
none of it's good. Could you imagine being, like, the name Dorky or Dorcas when we were in middle school? Remember, like, the whole thing where they're like, dork means whale penis. Ha, 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 ha.
Your maiden name was brutal enough.
Oh, yeah, it was.
So
it was bad.
Yeah. No,
my favorite is when people ask me, like, is that your real maiden name?
No, I made that up as a good joke. Good conversation starter, huh?
Fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Should we tell the people what my maiden name was?
We've already mentioned it on
this
podcast, yes.
Go back and listen.
It's tingly. I'll say it. She was warm and tingly.
Please don't.
No?
I was not. I'm a cold-hearted bitch. There's nothing warm about me.
Yeah, there's very little
except for my
about her.
feet and my obligatory pod bunny flippers.
Yes. They have become a staple on this podcast.
They have. It's because it's cold and we live in Michigan. So, poor Dorcas. And then there were 180 to 200 people that were accused and jailed. 10 wound up escaping prison, 2 of which were the bishops. Because like I said, whole families would be thrown in jail.
Yeah.
And so along with Bridget Bishop.
Oh, bishop. Okay.
Yes.
I thought you meant like bishops, like bishops of a church or whatever.
No, like, yeah, part of her family. They managed to escape. Mm-hmm. And then 2 managed to evade arrest.
Evade rest? That's
yes.
you on a nightly basis.
Mm-hmm.
Rest evades me.
Start being super melodramatic. Just back of my hand on my forehead. Rest evades me.
I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night and you're going to be on your phone at like 2 a.m. and be like, what's wrong with you? Rest. It evades me once more.
If only I could roll my R's.
Right? Oh. Rub that in a little bit.
So there were also 2 dogs that were accused of witchcraft and lynched by a senseless mob.
Oh.
They didn't get a trial. They were just...
Really?
Yeah. The dogs were hung.
Did they think they were familiars or just witches?
I don't know.
Just hung dogs.
I'm sure.
Just five-legged dogs just dragging around, and they're like, clearly a witch.
Clearly.
Look at that thing.
They are hung.
Put your lipstick away, sir. We shall hang you.
So today, no one is sure where most of the victims of the hangings are even buried. Mm-hmm. So one body of a man named George Jacobs was found and then reinterred after like being moved 3 or 4 times. And after being exhumed a few times, that was the one that was buried in the Martha Nurse thing. Mm-hmm. Memorial. And then a few were claimed by their families and buried in a plot, but most they believe were unceremoniously dropped into a crevice off of Proctor's Ledge, which is where the gallows sat.
Okay.
But how did all this chaos happen? There are several theories. One debunked one was that the ergot fungus, which infects grain, mostly rye, can cause hallucinations and convulsions when eaten by humans, but it was quickly debunked because like young people between the ages of like 0 and 10 would be dropping like flies if that were the case.
Oh, okay.
And the afflicted would have also wound up with gangrene on their fingers and toes, and they'd be falling off. None of that was evidence. So it was like that theory was presented in like 1974 and then debunked by the end of 1974. But it's still something that people bring up because mm-hmm. they're like, oh, it could be a possibility. And they're like, do like 10% of research. No.
Not a possibility.
Yep. mostly scholars agree that it was a perfect storm of factors that contributed to the literal witch hunt.
Starvation.
Yes, the cold, the lack of food, the stress from being alive back then. Puberty. Yep. The political changes like new charters and tax issues over like the new church and new minister.
Yep.
Socioeconomic statuses, potential fraud.
Microdosing by Reverend Paris.
Yep, a little bit of LSD. Ergot is actually, they think can be part of LSD. Like,
so he could have legitimately been doing that.
I mean, that's where the fraud comes in. Where they're like, oh, we think maybe fraud, but there's not a lot of evidence. And I'm like, is there really not a lot of evidence? Because I got someone in mind who might be a little sus.
Yeah. He at least was in favor of having his people accuse other people.
Oh, yes.
Like, he definitely worked the system.
Oh, for sure. And every single person that was accusing was linked back to him, which I guess in hindsight could be really easy because, you know, it is a small town. But all the people that were being accused were people that were opposing him.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's suspect at best.
Doesn't paint him in a very good light.
So you also had to worry about socioeconomic statuses, potential fraud from some of the more greedier characters involved. Paris. Putnams.
Hey, he needed people alive to pay their taxes, though.
Yeah, like the Putnams who were so happy.
That's true. Keep
They
that
just
bankroll coming in with all those lawsuits.
Exactly. We do know some very rich and famous people that really love lawsuits. And I'm going to leave it at that. There's also ongoing unresolved PTSD from watching like entire families and friends getting murdered in wars and Native American raids. There's a strict lifestyle of the Puritans that strongly believed that the devil was an actual physical thing that could walk among them and possess people and sort of like bring them into like under his literal wings.
They were wound up pretty tight.
There was intense social hierarchy between the rich and the poor, men and women, frequent squabbling and factions between families and the ministers. All this sort of simmered together in one giant pot and then spilled over when a little bit of conversion disorder fueled the flames, which conversion disorder is the modern day description of mass hysteria.
The first CD.
Yes.
Sorry, that was too easy.
So like one theory is that like the two girls were getting a lot of attention because they were unloved and probably beaten at home and also couldn't like wear pants and wear bonnets and corsets. They got a lot of attention from acting a fool. And so like other people close to their circle got a lot of attention acting a fool. And then the Parises and the Putnams got involved and were like, yes, and just fed the flames for them acting like complete idiots. And that just sort of wound up to 20 people being dead.
This was the first uprising of punk rock, and it got squashed and hung. And they were just, nonconformists pretty much.
Yeah. And so all of that led to what they think all of that led to the Salem Witch Trials. And there you have it.
There you have it.
So now it's an example of what not to do, you know, religious persecution, government interference, intolerance of other people. Even though it was never explicitly mentioned, scholars also believe that the Salem Witch Trial had a direct impact on our Bill of Rights and a vast influence on our justice system, like living proof of how important it is to embody like the innocent until proven guilty and having the right to a defense counsel.
And actual like empirical evidence. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Provable evidence. Hearsay is obviously not allowed.
No. They don't take mediums' testimonies anymore, do they?
So mostly they'll turn to psychics if they're really desperate, and it's more like for lead gathering more than like actual evidence. But that, is still kind of a little bit of a thing that happens still to this day.
Okay.
So that is the Salem Witch Trials.
Do you have sources?
I do.
All the sources?
I have a whole paragraph of sources.
Did you want to do your... If you made it?
Oh, if you've made it this far.
Congrats.
And now you can turn us off before I get to my paragraph of sources.
You don't have to, though. We're still here.
Yeah, it's really good. Highly recommend.
All the sources.
Yes. So I watched 3 documentaries. The History Channel's document Witch Hunt, which I found on YouTube. And then The Haunting of Salem Witch Trials, which is by BuzzFeed Unsolved. And then Bewitchment in Salem, which The Real Story, by Salem Access TV, where a host sat down with a panel of experts who literally wrote the books on the subject. One woman wrote a book that was 2.5 pounds.
That's healthy.
Yeah. There's another one who gathered all of the information with like 2 or 3 other historians. And they were like, we just need 2 years of your time. And it turned into an 11-year long excursion of collecting documents. And so they interviewed them. And then Salem.org, Salem Witch Trials of 1692, and History.com articles, Salem Witch Trials, who were the main accusers, 5 notable women hanged in the Salem trials, how the Salem Witch Trials influenced the American legal system. Those were all on History.com. And then mtsu.edu, which I think might be Massachusetts. There's an article there called the Salem Witch Trials. And then historyofmassachusetts.org, the Salem Witch Trials and what caused the Salem Witch Trials. And then also information from Salem SalemWitchMuseum.com. So everybody take a drink for every time I said Salem Witch Trials.
Wow, yeah, that was... I blacked out. I don't even remember where I am.
Me neither.
I feel so resourceful, though.
Yeah?
Yes.
There's lots of stuff you can...
All the sources.
So, yeah, that was my deep dive. And now, I was sitting at the computer and every 5 minutes you heard me going, what the fuck?
Yeah, with the big-ass headphones on.
Yes. And that is more than you probably ever wanted or needed to know.
About the Salem Witch Trials?
About the Salem Witch Trials.
I feel so informed now.
Do you?
Yeah, I'm only going to remember the funny names, which is a shame. But I actually...
You're going to get it all mixed up. You'll be like, so cotton balls. And they're like, what the fuck?
When you said 180, 200, I assumed that the majority of them were going to die.
No.
And I always assumed burning, so I'm glad it was...
No, burning is more of a Europe thing. Yeah. No one was here burnt for witches in the United States.
So it's super primitive hanging, which was kind of...
horrible.
Not what I expected, I suppose.
And, oh shit, I was going to say something, and I guess it doesn't really matter. It must have been a lie.
You can go do ghost tours there or some shit, you said.
Yeah, you can. It was really fascinating.
Yeah, it seemed like, you were obviously very into it, which always makes for better research, which is why I'm struggling with the bonus episode research.
You're not into whatever topic you chose?
I'm committed.
You're committed? That's how I feel sometimes with some of our topics.
It'll be fine.
Mostly it's not because I don't find them interesting, mostly because I'm like, wow, this is worse than I thought, but I already spent 2 days researching it, so this is what you get.
My first 4 topics, I was like, nope, too many dying people.
Well, and then you pulled out the Barbie. You were like, have you heard anything about the Barbie and Ken serial killers? I'm like, sir, I know more than you could ever tell me about.
Yeah, no. I knew they were famous enough where if I'd heard of them, I knew you had. I just hadn't. Just reading them it again and jog memory. I was like, oh, these people are the fucking worst.
Absolute trash.
Anyway, now that we've given you more topics to go down.
I actually think she wound up getting out of jail 8 years later.
Yeah, she works at an elementary school.
Well, not anymore. She was outed.
Oh.
In Canada?
Yeah.
They were like, fuck you, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anywho, so.
Doesn't matter. Different topic, different day.
If you need a nice depressing story, go look up the Ken and Barbie killer. And if you need some good music to listen to, Bishop Briggs, River, great song. And then we will have... Are we going to do a little bonus episode for Halloween?
Yep, I already wrote it.
Okay, you want to record that and release that Halloween?
Yes.
Okay, we will release that maybe even Halloween afternoon. A little just put the kids to bed, go through their candy, listen to whatever our bonus thing is. I don't even know what it's about. Fun times. And then...
I felt like we didn't give them a lot of information or content this month, so I'm making up for it. We're going to have 3 episodes this week.
Well, 4 technically.
Yes.
Because the bonus episode's coming out.
If you're a patron.
That's Patreon only.
$1 will get you there.
We have 3 tiers, 1, 3, and 5, and you can get the bonus episode at all 3 of them. Yep. And we're just itching to send out pins. Hey, we know 500 followers. Didn't we say we were going to do pin giveaway?
Oh, yeah. Look, I got a lot of this shit going on.
No, you're good. We're probably going to do a Facebook post. Maybe we'll do that beginning next month.
Also, we're really sorry, Todd. We still haven't gotten your stuff. We'll get it to you, I swear.
Yeah. No. Yeah, that was the other
Todd
giveaway.
got all the shout-outs.
He did. This is like the Todd episode.
So just tell me the books are due back Tuesday.
Right? Yeah.
God, it was so bad.
But, so yeah, we'll do a Facebook post, and we'll figure out some way to pretty much sign up for free pens, and then we will ship them straight to your door through Liberty Medical.
Liberty.
Now you're getting all your liberties crossed over. Anyway, thanks for listening.
Yes, and if you've made it this far.
Congrats. We already said that once.
We did.
And enjoy your Halloween week.
Yeah.
Be spooky.
Be spooky.
Raid all the trunk or treats. Steal all the Kit Kats. You deserve them. Your kids don't.
Watch out for cyanide in your pixie sticks.
Is that a...
Yes, it's a real thing.
Oh, okay. That sounds terrible. I do remember that.
Yeah,
was an
it was
adult,
the dad. It was the dad. It was the dad who tried to kill his kids. That's why, guys, no one's trying to give your kids edibles or poison your candy. It was a dude who's trying to off his kids for insurance money.
Yeah.
It's the short and sweet of it.
As you do.
And one of them died.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's terrible.
And almost a neighbor kid.
Oh, man, I feel like we're going into a bonus episode right now.
I'm sorry.
45 minutes later. Hey, guys, what an episode. What a whirlwind.
Let's talk about children dying.
Yes.
More.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
This is why I've restarted my research 4 times this week already. Everyone, it's like a kid dies. I'm like, I can't talk about that. It's not even, there's no jokes to be made. It's all shitty.
I can try to make a joke.
It's more like a squirmish, half painful joke. All right. Are you ready to actually wrap this up?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you guys all later.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to our terrible podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at TMSTPod.
And if you'd like to support the show, you can find us on Patreon at Tell Me Something Terrible.
Oof, that was terrible.